Let's see the Ps4 Racing League channel.
Yeah, wait,
we are live. Very nice.
Yep, we're live.
Can you link it to the to our Discord?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think we're expecting anyone else.
Yeah, I think that looks good.
Eh? Hey, we also got our first viewer in William in this Reserve Cup thingy. Welcome. Nice to see you. Also watching over our reserves, our future challengers in the tiers. And I think we are ready to go now. With the initial round of the quite hastily arranged Reserve Cup now live at Hungary, we got the 8 drivers required for the start, which was very nice to see. Also joining the lineup here tonight is our beloved commentator in Dublade.
Well, you've been welcomed from the lovely Greek background chant.
Yeah, it's alright. So anyways, if you're watching the stream, good evening. My name is Allopallo, and I'm joined here tonight by Agilus for the initial round of the Reserve Cup here in, from what it looks like, a rainy Hungary, with the F2 cars here tonight. So the ruling are as follows: we will do a single one-shot qualifying for the feature race, and right after that we will do a 50% feature race followed by a 25% sprint race, where it will be like the official F2 rules go. It will be a reverse grid, and with only 8 drivers present today, the whole grid, the entire grid, will be reversed. So it definitely will be interesting here tonight on this lovely Wednesday evening.
It's also a one-shot qualifying session, obviously. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, really important just to get that lap in order to in order to just qualify.
Not invalid your lap, to be honest, since you only have one shot of doing a qualifying lap. But yeah, the track limits around Hungary, especially on the qualifying session, they're not the greatest. I'll have to remark that, I guess.
Yeah.
I think Mike spun at turn 5 there.
How's Julian doing at the back? Yeah, he must have lost the control. We must remember that there are tier 1 and tier 2 great drivers here mixed up, but they all will race against their own tier, despite the position they might be in, just to achieve that eligibility for a full-time seat in their cars, as M. Heidi in his ART is leading the back. A bit of a slide there. Yeah, Mas, we had some technical issues on the Twitch side of things, so I thought it would be as good to record here as our drivers make it across the line, and we will be lining up as it follows on screen. M. Heidi will be starting on pole after his fast lap of 1:41.5. nearly a second faster than Little Flinster, who made his PRL debut in Canada last week. Or was it the week before? Anyway, I know that he's been racing with us, so is HB10, who was slightly slower.
That's yeah, HP10 Pro. Qualifying P2 that's a very good result for him.
Yeah, definitely, and of course the scoring is something you might want to know. We will go by the official F2 scoring. So 4 points for M. Heidi for his pole position here. And of course from the tier 2 drivers, the leading one is Sethi from Australia. Mad respect to him for making it. It's probably either very early in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's props on him for making the race.
Yeah, it's great to see, and thus we had to make this official. We had difficulties of getting that 8 drivers present here, but thank God we did. Thanks to Dublade for it as well. Shout out. Yeah, Miles, it's only 8 people, but I don't actually mind because now the entire grid will be reversed for the sprint race. I also expect that with the F2 cars the gaps won't be that big. We gotta remember that these are equal cars, you don't have to set it. There's equal pace in every car. I'm gonna let Agilus take over for a while because my phone is ringing.
So the formation lap is starting. Only really to comment on this, but as said, Seth, it's just mad respect for him for making the race. As yeah, to he's leading the tier 2 pack. Followed by Ps4 the Albanian debutant. Then Dublade are tier 1 commentator. Followed by Mike Sense, the that's the Papaya, otherwise known as McLaren. Then followed by Julian, who I think he also had to wake up early. Oh, sorry. To stay up late if you think like that, because I think that he lives in the Philippines, which is like 1 a.m. 2 a.m. there.
Yeah,
also,
anyways, I am back now. Anyways, massive respect to all of these guys for making it, especially the Filipinians in who was the other Filipinian guy? I think it was PayPal Key, no?
HB10 and Julian.
Yeah, HB10 and Julian are both from the Philippines, and Sethi from Australia here, sporting Trident colors for this race. There might be a crash. I mean, Mike Sands, also referred to as Mike Crash, is present in the race. But let's hope for a clean race of 19 laps over at this beautiful Hungarian circuit in the dry weather here tonight. PayPal is from Albania. Okay, some new nationalities. Yet again, as we are ready to start, let's see if we get the lights glitch again. Yes, we will. So apologies for that. Every time you're hosting the session and streaming, there will be this glitch. But let's see, everyone seems to get away from their grid positions. Really tight going into the
flying start.
Yeah, making
P1, I think.
Yeah, yep. We'll be making 2 positions at the start. There's a little bump at the back, but I believe everyone has gotten away well. Anyone with damage? Yeah, Sethi, our tier 2 driver, up to P3, and Little Flinster in his Prema dropped down to P5, but let's see, there's plenty of races to go, so damage early might be catastrophic in the F2 cars, as you know. You need to, there's this mandatory pit stop as Sethi pulls along, PayPal pulls alongside Sethi, who manages to defend the position for now. But this is the exact reason we picked F2 cars. I mean, you can see definitely that the racing between the equal leveled guys is really tight.
How do you think of going for a move?
Oh, and Heidi nearly loses the rear, going to the last sweeping corners. And there's a bit bumps, but Sethi...
He's way up to P3, down the inside of Sethi.
Yes, and Heidi now thinking for a move, a penalty for Seth, probably track limits. And Heidi, HB leaves him really little space on the outside, going wheel to wheel here. HB10 seems to prevail.
Some contact there.
Blade in Yuki Tsunoda's Carlin manages to get by Little Flinster here, as they go 3 wide into the sweeping left-hander. And Blade seems to prevail, as Mike Sands is alongside Little Flinster, some wing pieces flying around.
I think that Little Flinster got damaged there.
Yeah, it would totally seem like it. That's a bummer, because now he has to limp for that couple of laps before he can pit. Anyways, Sethi has already pulled a gap of 2.5 seconds over Blade, and now chasing over PayPal, who overtook him last lap. As Heidi is getting really close to HB.
This will really help Pay and Sethi to get close to.
Ooh, and Heidi nearly loses the rear, and that's probably the premeditated move to the main straight, done and dusted for this lap. PayPal also drawing nearer, and also manages to set the fastest lap in the process in Nikita Mazepin's spin mobile. And Mike has to pit, probably for repairs. Yes, it is, in Jack Aitken's Campus Racing. I think it is. And it seems that the gaps are starting to settle a bit. So, Agilus, what are your thoughts on the Reserve Cup concept here? I mean, it would be great if we had a full grid of reserve drivers, as we do have a lot of them in Power Racing League's Discord server, but unfortunately it would appear that the time doesn't really suit many of our drivers here.
I'm very happy to see the new faces of the new guys in our league, and yeah, pretty far so far. Sorry, we've seen very good racing these 3 laps.
Yeah, luckily no shenanigans, no huge contacts, and it would seem like, at least from the spectator angle, that the racing is very tight, as we can tell from our lead guys here. Of course, Mike had to pit and therefore is a lot behind, but he still has some time to gain on our leading pack, as HB10 comes to the final straight, and now Heidi with the DRS wide open, setting the fastest lap on the medium tire, goes to the inside, and I think HB10 goes very deep and just about manages to hold on for now. And I think he might have squeezed Heidi, but no damage there. Keeps his position for now. PayPal key following closely. We do gotta keep in mind that the grid will be reversed for the sprint race here.
I think that Mike will be on pole for the sprint race.
Ooh, and Heidi misses the braking point by a lot and has therefore to concede the position. Nice sportsmanship shown there, but HB10 gets to keep the leading position in his UNI Virtuosi. But of course, the penalties will play a part here too. Well, let's see them for now. So 3 seconds for HP10, M. Heidi, Sethi, and Mike for in these early stages of the race. And to me, it looks like it's Dublade in the Carlin that he's catching Sethi here. Not yet in the DRS distance, but making good progress with the soft tires. As M. Heidi gets close to PayPal, and PayPal is also now very close to HP10, who seems to have a bit of connection issues. That's unfortunate, but let's see. Let's see how the situation evolves. Let's see the strategies for now. So 3 of our drivers here with the alternate strategy starting out on the medium tire. Will it be the better one? We will see that later on. Little Flinster, of course, unlucky during the first laps. Hasn't got damage, but with the medium tires has fallen down to Ps6. So unfortunate for him. He still has time to recover. And of course the soft tires in the end will help him with that. As M. Heidi is still chasing our leading pair.
All top 3 very close together within a second.
Yeah. And I mean, this is what I love about F2 cars. And HP10 goes opt for the pits. In a rather early stage. Does he have damage or something? And manages to speed to the pits. Damn, that is unfortunate. Now hosting 8 seconds of penalties that might prove disadvantages to him. No, he hasn't got to repair the damage and goes for the medium tire. So a bit of a longer stint for him. Falls down to P7, but of course is in within shouting distance of everyone. That leaves our leading pair to PayPal and M. Heidi in his ART.
Well, pretty good pace shown by PayPal.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he was assigned to tier 2 because of his time trial and his availability. Of course, with the soft tire, so he should have an advantage over M. Heidi, who is currently chasing him. M. Heidi might be thinking for a move after his...
Pace shown here from the Albanian, as we've been told from the chat. And he does have a penalty, which will help him.
Yeah, now PayPal opts for the pits, so that will release our Albanian debutant in PayPal. Sorry, I mean M. Heidi to the lead. Takes it really cautiously upon pit entry, so no harm done there. And releases Duplate in his Carlin to get up to second position. I suspect him to pit 2 within this lap or the next at maximum. Let's see now with HP10 coming down the main straight, where will the former leading cars rejoin? They will rejoin a good while behind HP10, so the undercut might prove advantageous. We will see how it goes when M. Heidi pits for the softs, of course, but so far it's looking good for HP10.
He's also looking very good for PayPal, as he just did the medium tires, and yeah, HP10 Pro has 8 seconds of penalties, which has really helped his situation for winning. That we will have to keep in mind.
Yeah, for sure. We will see. We have still 3 drivers left to pit. We will see where they will rejoin. Will, for example, Julian be able to get close in his Charoux racing? Louis Delattre has his car, I believe. And Dublade opts for the pits, unfortunately sped.
It's very easy to spin into the pits with the F2 cars.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to estimate the length that the braking will last when using the F2 cars. Dublade will rejoin behind Sethi and in front of Julian, so back to his rightful position at 6th. Does not lose out, except from, of course, that penalty earlier on. So let's see if the alternate strategies here with M. Heidi and Little Flinster prove advantageous. I have no idea, to be honest, how long it will take to pit with the F2 car, but I believe he should be somewhere around Dublade's territory, so we will see if there's a battle developing from that. SM Heidi still stays out and manages to set the fastest lap, and there's a car round in sector 2. That's Julian, yes, and has difficulties rejoining the track, but manages to do so in due time. That is allowing Mike to get close, of course, so... Ooh, and there's an incident! HP10 out in the last corner. No idea what happened there, but massive damage sustained.
He's out of the race.
He indeed,
found the last corner.
he indeed is, and he has left the session too, so... There will be not a lot of points for him, as he will be not... His result won't be accepted from the sprint race, now that he only is gonna partake it in AI. That's really unfortunate. He was in position to challenge for the win here.
Very lucky. That's yeah, now I think it's Paybox's race to win now, since he's very close to the pit window gap. 30. It's almost 32 seconds, which means that if he keeps this pace up, he will rejoin in front of him Heidi. We will also have to keep in mind that Heidi will have to has 3 seconds of penalties.
Yeah, and which is something PayPal doesn't have, so we will see how that will affect the finishing standings. As PayPal goes fastest on his last lap with 1:31 and 1. Here are the fastest laps of people, so only a 10th separating our fastest laps here. With PayPal, our tier 2, the reserve driver, currently holding the fastest lap and the additional point. High kick knockout, do you happen to be HP 10? Because if you are, I really suggest that you rejoin, because there will be a sprint race, there will be points on offer in that too. So it's not all over yet. If Agilus, you could kindly invite him back, as M. Heidi goes fastest yet again, but you can definitely see the graining on his left front tire, so he should have the pit within the next lap or two. Doublade with another penalty, unfortunately, but should be sitting quite comfortably. He has a bit too many penalties to probably challenge Seth anymore, but we will see. Plenty of ways still to go, and as we noticed with HP 10, anything might happen here. Let's see our leader M. Heidi, who goes fastest yet again on second sector. Is he going to pit? Nope. Still no pit. Still no pitting, and the graining on his tires is starting to get really visible. So. Still manages to go fastest. Is this a bit of a Lewis moment here, that his tires are gone, but he still manages to pull some pace out of them?
Yeah, it seems like it.
A little Flinster dropping back by a dramatic count. PayPal has gained by 4 seconds in the last few laps, so little Flinster definitely should consider pitting quite soon. As a driver, you really need to calculate the life on your tires, that will I be faster on the softs or not? And where is the exact crossover point that you need to pit to get the maximum out of each set of tires? Meet, of course you can join. Let me invite you here. Therefore, you can partake the sprint race. Unfortunately, you will be starting from the back, but there still will be points on offer, so you don't want to miss that. Seti has another penalty. M. Heidi is still not pitting. Going really for a lengthy stint here early on, as Mike has now catched Julian, so we might have a battle on track.
It's been so long since we've had one, actually.
Yeah, it's been a while, but we still have stuff to talk about. As I for example, I'm very excited about this, as Mike is now really close, going into that nearly murderous first corner in the second sector as PayPal goes fastest. Interesting tug of war between the leading cars here, as Mike makes a mistake to the chicane and now has to pull that gap back. That's really unfortunate for him. Let's see the penalty situation for change. So Sethi now with more penalties than Doublade, so Doublade might actually... He loses the rear of his car. Let's see if he can rejoin in time to maintain that 5th position. Yes, he will. So no harm done, except for that challenge on Sethi might be a long shot. As Mike has yet again catched Julian. Let's see if the DR assistance will help him go past. Not using the slipstream here, but still goes for a dive on the inside. Julian with damage. Wheel to wheel from first corner, and Mike Sands gets it done.
As M. Heidi gets a 5-second time penalty, as he's boxing for soft compound tires.
Yes, he has, and that might have just wrecked his race, as he has now pitted, and so will little Flinster. So let's see how it will go. He will be, and so does little Flinster get that 5 seconds. So clearly speeding in the pit lane is an issue here. PayPal now within that 5 seconds of M Heidi, so it's his to win it now.
So he gets a I think he got a 3-second time penalty for track limits.
Probably. I mean, for my personal opinion about F2 cars is that it really is an understeer city, as M Heidi gets another 3-second penalty, and this is really hurting his chances of winning the feature race here. PayPal has driven really well as Little Flimster rejoins to 4th, just in front of Dublade, so let's see if there will be a battle developing here.
He's 19 seconds behind Seth High, who has 15 seconds of penalties. But,
so might get a podium even though he has a lot of penalties. Let's see, Dublade now chasing Flynn, but of course Flynn with the new soft, so is at advantage here, but if he can stay on DRS there still might be a challenge. Of course no ERS or any other assistance in overtaking on the straights. As Julian has got back past Mike. Of course Julian with no penalties, while as Mike has 9, so this battle is still turning to Julian's favor. Runs over the dangerous curb as Dublade is now within that 4/10, but nearly loses the rear. Should have DRS, so not much. Oh! And Dublade goes a bit too sharply on the last corner, and that results in an unfortunate DNF for Dublade.
That's very unfortunate. He drove a very good race.
He drove very good and was in a position for a very good grid spot and points for the sprint race, but he will be starting P2 here.
If he gets classified, I think, because I think that if he doesn't get classified, he will start from 7 or 8.
No, he shouldn't get classified from this race, because you need to complete the 90% distance. And Mike goes yet again on the inside. Let's see if Julian thinks for a switchback. No, Mike covers the inside and gets the DRS, and away he goes. Anyways, at the front, M Heidi has now pulled 3 seconds of gap, which is now 8 seconds, which is enough for him to win this race. With 4 laps remaining, it's gonna get real exciting towards the end. Of course, PayPal, with a lot older medium tires, is at definite disadvantage here. But let's see if he can keep that good pace up. He had the fastest lap multiple times earlier, so. But for the time being, it would seem that we will finish as is.
Unless something dramatic happens, which, let's be honest, it's probably going to happen. The race has been chaotic so far.
That's true. Mike now with 12 seconds of penalties has gotten clear of Julian, but needs to pull that 12-second gap if he wishes to finish ahead of him. Okay, so PayPal has, thank you, High Kick Knockout, 45% tire wear. So I believe his sharpest edge of pace might be long gone. He's still looking very strong to finish P2 and first of the tier 2 drivers. So well done. Sethy, who we haven't seen all that much of, has 15 seconds of penalties and seems to be sitting quite comfortably in P3. As for now, there's 3 laps remaining. That's unfortunate, but still a very good result if he can just bring his old tires home. And still withholds a fairly good pace not many penalties, so... Oh, nearly loses the rear and manages to spin. Let's see if he's able to rejoin in time. Seti really close behind.
He will rejoin in front of Seti, but
yeah,
keep in mind, Seti has 15 seconds of penalties.
That's true, just about so only, so... Let's see if there will be late drama here, as M. Heidi is currently in the last corner. About to start the second to last lap here in the inaugural race of Ps4 Racing League's Reserve Cup. It's an unfortunate two-blade, but at least you get a good grid position for the sprint race. Still points on offer there. And of course, with people joining the Reserve Cup later, every point counts from the start. Sefi can't really keep up, although he got a freebie on PayPal, and of course that massive penalty tally is gonna affect. I gotta give a shout out to Julian though. He hasn't maybe been the fastest guy here, but he has definitely dropped the cleanest in terms of track limits.
Yeah, it's a good drive overall for Julian.
Yeah, I believe the damage he sustained might be from that battle with Mike earlier on. And apologies for some finish, but Jouni, ei käy. Mitä nopeammin ajat niin maaliin, niin sitä nopeammin sä pääst nukkuu puhtaasti. Et halua nukkua likaisesti. Anyways, back to English. Seti can't really keep up with PayPal. He's now in a 2-second lead here, as M. Heidi has already started the last lap. As Mike has pulled that 9-second gap over Julian, but Julian hasn't got any penalties. Next time they will cross the line, it will be race over for them. No, actually, it won't. Okay, it's gonna get really exciting about that last racing position, as if M. Heidi manages to lap Julian, he cannot drive the last lap, and therefore Mike will probably keep that 5th position. And Julian, fair play for him for letting M. Heidi pass, but that might hurt his chances. As M. Heidi comes round the final corner to win the first race of the Reserve Cup. And we'll start in P8 for the sprint race coming shortly after this. PayPal now coming round. Is there something wrong with his car, or?
He's driving Mazepin's car, that's what is wrong.
Something has definitely happened to his car. He will finish P2, although he did it very slowly. He has run out of fuel, but still manages luckily to keep the P2 on penalties.
I don't think I've ever seen an F2 car to run out of fuel, because the fuel is automatic, I think.
Yeah, it is, and I don't know how you can do that, but you learn new things every day. Sethi so manages to finish P3 here, followed closely by Little Flinster, and Mike stands with 18 seconds of penalties. The gap, because Julian has finished the race, the gap isn't updating, but I think he should be able to keep that 5th position of his. Let's see here as Mike makes his way past the final corner to conclude the first race of the Reserve Cup. And Mike manages to hold on to that 5th. Well, not a lot of drivers, but still a lot of excitement. Something happened to HP10 there, and an unfortunate retirement leaves him on pole for the sprint race, but of course he left the session, so he's not here. Anyways, we will see now how the points are distributed and after the first race. So M. Heidi picking up the fastest lap and the pole position in the process, gets the maximum points for now with 31 points.
I think that the fastest lap gives you, I think it gives you 2 points.
Yeah, it would seem like it, yeah.
I think. I'm not completely sure if that's true, but yeah, I'll have to check that real quick. Yeah, the first lap actually does give you 2 points.
Yeah, it does, so a total tally of 31 points for M. Heidi. And of course, he finished first of the Tier 1 drivers, so he has the priority for now. Yeah, definitely, to the secret person in chat, F2 races are definitely exciting. A lot of fun and a lot of excitement to commentate over. Sethi, please do not leave the session if you're watching this, because there will be a sprint race after this. And of course we need you to make it official. And the sprint race seems to be dry as well, which is always nice to see. Hey, thank you, PayPal. Nice of you. Nice that if you enjoyed the commentary here. Of course, not the easiest to commentate over a race with only 8 participants. Now only narrowed down to 7. Now that Smith has joined, Sethi has left. Yeah, HP10, of course, in AI.
Smith on Gilles' dams.
Yeah, so the first dams of the session, debuting here in Reserve Cup. Smith used to be a permanent driver, but unfortunately briefly left the league and we gave his position to someone else, but always nice to see Smith racing almost every week, driving Tier 2, and I believe he's the Tier 2 race winner, so I expect a lot of him, although starting from the back. We got aware of the AI drivers here, with HP10 being one and Sethi the other. They won't be classified. And of course the reverse grid always brings about a lot of action. Although, albeit with a very short distance, the reverse grid always brings about great fun. If everyone manages to get through turn 1 cleanly, it will be usually the slower drivers behind and the faster ahead. The faster drivers behind and the slowers ahead. So it will bring about a lot of overtakes.
Sprint format in real life is very exciting. We've seen many drivers snatch a win from, I'd say, out of nowhere, you could say. We've seen wins from Louis Deltras, for example, Alex Albon in 2018 from P5. Made up like 5 positions and got a win here in the sprint race. And Mick Schumacher also won his first ever F2 race, yeah.
Yeah, he indeed did, as we are ready to start the sprint race, and apologies for the lights glitch, which actually doesn't happen apart from the AI drivers. But we don't have to worry about them, as they are not present in the race, so good of them to get out of the way. As the sprint race gets underway, Mike Sands with the banger of a start goes to the inside, to the first corner. Let's see if there will be contact here. No, actually everyone manages to get away clean, and that is always nice to see. With now Mike Sands holding the provisional lead, followed closely by Doublade. PayPal thinking for a move down the inside, but doesn't manage to do it. Meat has made up 2 positions in the start. Our debutant here in the Reserve Cup, here in the sprint race, now following Little Flinster on the medium tire. Goes to the inside. Oh, and there's major incident. And Julian hits the carnage there. The scoreboard went all kinds of sideways, but there, I believe, Dublade's rejoin caused the following 2 drivers to dodge and probably hit each other.
It was very unfortunate.
But it was a rapid evolving situation. You couldn't have done anything about that. As of course, our drivers are now making.
From Julian.
Yeah.
He couldn't avoid.
You can't really do much about that. Doublade now dropped to 6th position after his moment in that dreadful turn in the 2nd sector, and Smith and Little Flinster now have the pit for damage repairs, I believe. Anyways, PayPal in the provisional lead now past Mike Sands.
On the outside of turn 1, I think it was.
Yeah, and after that, in the going to the turn 2, I believe he might have gotten a better exit there. As a battle now evolving between M. Heidi and Mike Sands. We're watching it from PayPal's rear wing point of view. Doublade also following really closely behind. Mike Sands now with 2 seconds of penalties. Penalties in sprint races are, well, not of course that harsh than in a full-length feature race, or 50% as we do here. But of course, do have an effect. And you really need to obey track limits here as well. As I think Doublade is actually gaining on M. Heidi after his moment.
Mike there. Can't really find a way
but
past.
DRS will be enabled the next lap, so let's see if there will be a challenge. As PayPal goes fastest and has now pulled a gap. Mike goes defensive on M. Heidi, who has to stick to the outside, thinks of a switchback, nearly loses the rear end. Mike gets to keep the position for now. Mike goes really wide there, and M. Heidi has to look to the outside. M. Heidi gets a better exit out of the fast turner going downhill, and away he goes. Into the provisional 2nd position is Mike Sands with damage here. We gotta see to it, as Doublade is now following really closely behind. Let's see if there's a challenge. Let's see now, Doublade really close, is looking to the inside. Will he go for it? Yes, he will. Breaks it really late and manages to get it done. Little bit of bumps there, but manages to get by. And no, nearly loses the rear, nearly collects Mike in the process. Mike now with damage. Really scrappy fight going on. and Dublade manages to hold position, at least for now. And I believe now that Mike has damage, it might hurt him. Trying to catch Dublade here, get a better exit out of turn 1. As PayPal is already overtaking the AIs ahead, which is good because we need to sort out standings after this. Take a bit of work out of that.
Michael's very
of course,
wide.
I believe Dublade, due to his retirement in the first race, has the fresh tires.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Whereas Mike might have not. He didn't retire in the first race. Anyways, also M. Heidi has gotten past the AI drivers, which are of course ghosted, so no difficulties there. Now trying to catch PayPal for the lead. And at the back, Smith clinched the fastest lap. Last lap, of course, with the brand new soft, so he definitely is in contention. Free air ahead and behind him, so and of course, with the short distance of the sprint race, we have only 3 laps remaining, as M. Heidi is within DRS distance. The wing is not open as of yet.
Just 9/10 behind.
Yeah, and it seems that the gap is reduced nearly every turn. So let's see if there's a challenge going to the start-finish straight. Will M. Heidi keep his clean streak of maximum points in every race intact? No, if you ask Smith. Now only 3/10 behind. And as you can see from my images, it's less every corner. M. Heidi thinks to the outside. Can't quite make it stick yet, but DRS will be enabled going to the start-finish straight. If M. Heidi is clever, he will wait for the DRS assistance. An advantage of slipstream. As PayPal, let's see if he will go defensive. Gets a better exit out of last corner.
The greatest of exits there.
Yeah, so I don't think we will see a move as PayPal goes a bit defensive going to the first corner. Of course, DRS straight right after that too. So there is always opportunities going into turn 2. Not quite yet. But of course, M. Heidi now looking to the inside going into turn 6. Is it?
I think it's here 5.
Yeah, sorry, 5. As Smith goes 1:29 and 1, I believe that's the fastest we've had in all of this stream. And Dublade manages to pass the AI drivers. Or at least one of them.
People can M. Heidi will run the final corner to start the last lap of this sprint race.
The last lap already, and the gap being only at 2/10, we will see an exciting battle to the finish as PayPal yet again goes defensive. M. Heidi pulls to the outside. Wheel to wheel going to the first corner. M. Heidi thinks for a switchback. He will have the DRS assistance. Wheel to wheel. PayPal doesn't give it up easy. Now on the outside, a bit of wheel banging there, but holds on to the position for now. Will we see a challenge in the twisty section? always difficult to overtake around Hungary, apart from those 2 places where there's DRS available. The gap being only 2/10, these drivers really going head to head here. During both races goes defensive there. Oh, and MID just a bit loses the rear. And I believe he might have not got it in his tires and not enough track left to make the move. I believe PayPal might be winning here.
They will run to the final corners of this Hungarian Grand Prix. PayPal will run the final corner.
And PayPal will win the sprint race here in Hungary after that magnificent defense on M. Heidi. Really close. Brilliant racing. And Duplate will cross the line with the podium in the sprint race. Mike Sands will collect the P4 as the AI drivers won't be classified. Smith in his dams, picking up the fastest lap, will finish P5.
Right, that was great driving from PayPal. I'll have to admit that was a great defensive driving.
Yeah, definitely. And Smith comes around. Little Flinster has gone round, but he just has to linger across the line to collect P6 and some nice points here. Really unfortunate 2 races for him, but a brilliant effort. I mean, just showing up was great. It was great to see some action, although not many reserve drivers present here today, but we got the season going.
Harry's getting awarded the driver of the day.
By Codemasters.
My driver of the day. He, I think that had to give it to PayPal.
Yeah, of course.
It was a nice drive from Hardy as well.
And we gotta keep in mind this is a tier 2 reserve who won the sprint race here and fended off a tier 1 reserve guy. So GG's. Not much else I can say. Definite driver of the day in my book as well. And should be deserving of a chance to go against the big guys in tier 2. I believe he might be of challenge to you, Agilus.
We will see that in the next week in Belgium.
Yeah. So it will be PayPal collecting 15 points from the sprint race. M. Heidi 12. Duplate finishing 3rd gets the 10 points. Good recovery from the disaster at the feature race. HP10 and Sethi won't be classified, so Mike, Smith and Little Flinster will be the remaining drivers to collect points from the sprint race. And this will conclude our broadcast from the inaugural race of the Reserve Cup. I hope you enjoyed. Always nice to see you watching our streams. And if you're a reserve and watching this back, please do ask all the other reserves to come join in. And some more action next week, next Wednesday. Thank you, Agilus, for accompanying me. My name was Allu Pallu, and we'll see you next time. Good night.